Hello everybody, this is Deb from Just Do Something Homestead, and we are standing in a place that I rarely show others. We are in my pantry. I go through my stock at least once a week. First off, I'm checking the seal to make sure none of them have popped. Second, I'm making sure I rotate it so that I am using the oldest food first. And lastly, I'm looking at my stock to see where there may be some gaps and what I need to purchase. All of these jars are vacuum sealed, and most of these jars are organic. But I don't want you to think that that is all we eat, because this shelf up here, that is our snack shelf. And you're going to see things like Oreos and jelly beans, chocolate covered nuts and crackers. We are human. But saying that, none of this food has been purchased within the last year. These are items that we have stocked up before I started reading all the labels and decided that we were only going to eat organic. So instead of throwing these out, they will be a once in a while treat, but I will not restock them once they're gone. Have you been watching the news? What about the economy? I heard a report that our groceries are 39% more than they were just 3 years ago. You afford another 39% increase within the next 3 years? People ask me, why do you stock food? I stock food to ensure that I will have food to feed my family if something terrible happens. And lately, I am not having a good feeling about it. Today, we're going to look at my top 6 recommendations for foods that you should be preserving now. We're also going to discuss the different types of vacuum sealers on the market and the one that you should be avoiding at all costs. So welcome aboard and thanks for joining us today. My name is Deb, and if you are new to our channel, I welcome you and I am so grateful that you can join us today. Here are my top recommendations. Number 1 is rice. Although the price of rice has gone up a lot in the last few years, it is still an inexpensive food. Rice is incredibly easy to store, and I have some subscribers who told me that they have vacuum sealed their rice over 10 years ago, and it is still good. Number 2 may surprise you. Number 2 is organic popcorn. Popcorn is a wonderful snack, whether you're 90 years old or you're 9 years old. It is easy to make, it's easy to adapt, it's even easy to grow. It can be sweet or savory, whether you're looking for a kettle corn or you want to put on a spice. It is very versatile to reach the different tastes of your family. Number 3 is coffee beans. If you know me, you know that I love coffee. Now, I don't drink a ton of it. I have 2 cups a day, 1 in the morning and 1 12 hours later. Can store ground coffee. The only problem is it doesn't last as long as coffee beans. So when I vacuum seal this, I make sure I use these first. Jim and I both drink coffee, but he also drinks tea, which I do not. I can grow tea for him, but I can't grow coffee. So this is high on my list of the top 6 things that I want to vacuum seal. Number 4 is cereal. I'm a huge cereal lover. I'm from an older generation where you woke up in the morning and you had a bowl of cereal with your orange juice, and that's how you started the day. But I'm also from the generation that if I said, "Mom, I'm hungry," she would say, "Get a bowl of cereal." When you start choosing the items you need to vacuum seal to stock up for your family, I highly recommend that you stock up foods that your family eats most. And so cereal is one of our top foods. As you can see by my immense amount of cereal, these jars are half-gallon jars, And literally each jar will last me 1 week. Number 5 is flour. Now, before you get on my case and say, no, Deb, you should be saving organic wheat berries. I am saving wheat berries, but most Americans do not have the mill to grind them. Wheat berries last far longer than ground flour, but if you don't have access to grinding them, that's not going to help you. So this is one of them, organic flour, best by 2025. No, it's not 10 years in the future, but it is at least another year. I have used flour at least 1 or 2 years past the best by date, but what you start to face is a decline in quality, and you also can get it to turn rancid. I store about 6 half gallons of flour at a time, and I make sure that I rotate my stock. Like this one, I just moved to the front. That one says 2023, so I need to use that one next. And last but not least, number 6 is dried beans. I am not a huge fan of beans. Since I was a little kid, they simply make me gag, but let me tell you what, they store wonderfully. They are inexpensive. And if I was hungry, I'd be eating beans. So even though it is not on my list of top favorites, it doesn't matter. It will keep me alive if needed. All right, we are going to head into my kitchen and we are going to talk about vacuum sealers, which ones are wonderful, which ones to avoid, and how to vacuum seal food. First, let's talk about vacuum sealers. I have 3 different kinds. My main one is my Food Saver. This is FM5200. It is 11 years old and I have used it with a lot of hard labor. If you are looking for long-term storage, this is the beast that I recommend because it is reliable. I have never had a false seal with my Food Saver. One thing that your Food Saver needs is a port so that you can vacuum seal in jars. Another vacuum sealer that I use is my handheld Food Saver. This is a rechargeable one. I use this for short-term storage. In fact, I keep it in my kitchen. I always keep it charged. And if I'm opening up a container of, say, rice, when I'm finished pouring out the cup that I need, I put the lid back on and quickly reseal it. The last sealer that I own is the electric mason jar vacuum sealer. I do not recommend this sealer, and this is why. Many people got this one for Christmas, and the reason is it's inexpensive. For less than $30, you can get a sealer. But the problem is it's not strong enough to form a long-term seal on your jars. And so it's known as a false seal. It may seal immediately, but when you go out a week later, a month later, 6 months later, that seal has popped. The other thing that is really upsetting me about this is that if you go onto Amazon and you look up one of these, it is showing a picture of fresh peaches and it looks like it's being canned. And I have seen many people trying to can with this sealer. So I opened up the box that I store it in, I pulled out the instructions, and nowhere does it say that it's for dry food. It simply says to put your food in a jar and seal it. But for me, I'm looking for long-term storage. I do not want to seal a jar, put it in my pantry, and find out it popped weeks and weeks ago and I never knew it, and now my food is stale. So I stick with my Food Saver, and then if I want to just quickly seal one in my kitchen, I use my handheld Food Saver. Vacuum sealing is extremely economical. After you have purchased your vacuum sealer, you're going to use it over and over again, and it will save food from going bad. It will enable you to buy bulk food and still be able to seal it. I'm going to show you how to vacuum seal 2 items. The first one is quick oats, and then the other one is going to be white rice. You're going to need some canning jars. My preference is to use the half-gallon ball canning jars. That way I can fill them to the top and they hold a significant amount. You can also use quart-sized jars, pint, half pint, even quarter pint. It can be regular mouth or they can be wide mouth. I use both of those. I typically use wide mouth only because I'm using large canning jars and those use the wide mouth. You're going to need the attachments, which are called jar sealers. And unfortunately, when I purchased my Food Saver 11 years ago, they did not come with these attachments, so I had to order them separately. They were less than $10 on Amazon. They come in packs of 2. This one's the wide mouth, and you also receive the regular mouth. Some other things that are helpful. I like my wide mouth funnel, and then you're going to need some rings. You're going to need some lids. When vacuum sealing, you do not need a new lid. You can actually recycle them and use them over and over again until they no longer seal. But I've used them 10, 15 times and they're still sealing. Just like canning, when you vacuum seal, you're going to want to wash your jars in hot soapy water and dry them completely. It's even more vital that when you vacuum seal, there is no moisture in that jar whatsoever. The first step is to pour the ingredients into your jar. Now, some people freeze these items beforehand. I never freeze them, whether it's flour or anything else. When you're vacuum sealing, you are removing all the air, so nothing is going to be able to survive. There is really no need to freeze your items. In fact, it can cause moisture, which you do not want in these jars. Once you fill this jar, you're going to want to remove the funnel. And what I like to do is thump this around, shake it around, thump it on the counter, and that's going to have all your contents settle down and give you more room to add to it. Storing food, you want to put in as much as you can because you're going to have a lot of jars. So fill it up as much as you can. There is no minimum headspace needed like canning. The 18 ounces of oatmeal I was able to put in 1.5 containers. And first thing you do, wipe off the top. You don't want any crumbs up there when you're trying to seal it. Next, place a flat on top and then put on the attachment like that. You want to push it down so it's solid. And plug in the port. Turn on your vacuum sealer and you're going to push accessory. It will shut off when it is finished removing the air. Once it shuts off, remove this and check the seal. To check the seal, what you're looking for is an indentation in the center. And when you pull on this, it should not move at all. You should not be able to remove the lid with your fingertips. So this one is sealed. Put a ring on it and you're going to want to put the date on the top. So that requires you looking at the container that it came in and finding out when the best by date was. It says June 12th, 2025. Thus, I'm going to date it for June 2026. Organic oatmeal, best by June 2026. And you're going to want to store this in a cool, dry area. This is my oatmeal container from in my kitchen. And since I only have half a container left, I'm going to pour this into what I currently use in my kitchen. I already have the lid that I use, so this time I'm going to do short-term storage. We'll be using the rest of this probably this week. And that means I'm going to take the lid, put it back on, and then put on my jar sealer and use my rechargeable food saver. For this one, I am just going to push vacuum. It also will shut off when it's finished. All right, and it is finished. Now this one had a lot of air space in it, so it took a little bit longer to seal. Remove the jar sealer, check the seal. It is on good, and put a ring on it. And this one goes into my cupboard. We're going to seal the white rice exactly like we did the oatmeal. First, you're gonna fill your jar. This jar held 2 32-ounce bags of rice. You're going to wipe off the top and put on a lid. This is actually a used lid, and you will see it'll work just as well. Put on the jar sealer and plug it in. Check the seal. Ooh, that had a good pop, so I know this one is sealed. And put a ring on it. This one simply says Best by 2024, so I will write 2025. And in just a few minutes, I was able to preserve 1/2 gallon of rice and 1/2 gallon of oatmeal. And now that I'm back in my pantry, I am going to put these in the back of my stock so that I use the older ones first. I know this seems overwhelming. If you are just starting on your stocking up journey, you still have time. Just make it an effort that every time you go to the store, you buy one extra, one to eat now and one to store. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. I am truly overwhelmed with the growth that my channel has had in just the last month. I'm getting about 500 new subscribers a month, and that is just a dream come true. Remember, you can't do everything all at once, but you can just do something. Have a blessed day, everybody. Bye-bye.